Welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast, the place for everything auto detailing in Australia right now. Here's your host, Dale Guthrie.
Hey guys, just before we kick off today's episode, I just thought I'd take the time to give a little bit of info in around so as much. But yeah, so this one episode is with Alex from Tutela Detailing in Tasmania. So amazing young guy, and yeah, doing some awesome work down there, and we touch on a little bit in regards to his car events, the Cars for Cancer fundraising he does, and it's pretty close to his heart with his mum Mandy battling cancer for the last quite a few years. So, but yeah, we recorded this on the 6th of February, and unfortunately on the 10th of February she lost her battle with cancer. So, our thoughts and prayers with you, mate, and yeah, I hope you're doing the best you can down there, and hope everyone in the industry you get around you, Alex. So yeah, you're doing some awesome work, mate, and yeah, we're thinking of is at this time. So I reached out to him when I seen it, and I thought I'll hold the episode out, and if you want me to, and he was happy to get it out there, and yeah, for his dad to listen as well. And I think you're doing your mum proud, mate. So yeah, I just thought I'd kick this off at the start. So yeah, but you'll hear all about it. Thanks. G'day and welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Dale Guthrie, and my co-host, Joe. How are you?
Hey, good, really, really good, mate.
Good.
Been pretty wet up here in North Queensland. I don't know if you've noticed, but yeah, just a little bit of rain.
I
But
don't watch the news, but
don't you?
not really.
All right, not offended. But yeah, bit wet. I'm good here, but Ingham and a few other places, like about an hour south of me, very, very wet, got flooded. But yeah, all good here.
You're right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I did hear a little bit on, yeah, but no, that's no good for anyone out there. That's and we're completely opposite. We're in a heat wave down here, so
One extreme to the other. It's Australia.
yeah. Oh, it's wicked. But yeah. Well, this one's been in the works for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
And for the people who've been following along, I've been looking for a Tasmanian detailer.
They're hard to find.
They are hard to find.
Rare species.
They're across the waters there, and but yeah, we've been chatting to this boy for a bit now, and we were teed up there in October last year, but yeah, that was my fault. I had to pull out, and due to family reasons, and but we were teed up, good to go. But yeah, no, this one's been in the works for a bit, and it's finally good to have a Tasmanian on the pod for a change, and first one of all. So yeah, let's welcome Alex from Tutela Detailing in Tasmania. Evening, mate. How you going?
Good. It's a very warm, not so extreme evening down here. There's actually a few of us down here. We're not actually that rare, but what's
It was like
interesting
that,
is
yeah.
it's interesting because I'm actually a Queenslander
Oh, come
down
on.
here. So
Oh, yes.
you need to try and
I'll save you, mate. I'll bail you
yeah.
out.
Well, I'm already climatized, so you pull me away, I'm sort of gonna like decompose. So
No,
yeah,
I
wow.
did. A few have been coming out of the works ever since, but I only felt it was right to. We got in touch first, so but I'll bring them other ones in eventually as well. Like we'll mix it up. But yeah, no, there's a few been reaching out down there, which is good. So
If we could say too, Dale, if someone doesn't know Australia very well, maybe you didn't do very well in primary school, or you're from overseas, it's Tasmania is like this little island that kind of got kicked off the mainland. We pushed it away, just for a little bit, not too far, but yeah, but it's a part of Australia, and we call that Tasmania. So
all the best
that's about
spots have been taken down away. You know, like New Zealand's been kicked away.
Yeah,
at
we
some
kicked
point,
them
and
away
that
too.
was fair enough. We had to push them
We
aside.
booted them away. Yeah.
Yeah, the best bit
that's
dropped
cool.
off at the end. So
Tasmania, not New Zealand too. So.
yeah.
Yep. Nah, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
Sorry,
nice.
just had to add that in.
Yeah. So Alex, do you want to explain a little bit about Tutela and how it all started? Like,
Yeah. Well, you're saying it properly, which is the first thing that people sort of get wrong.
really?
Yeah. So Tutela sort of means to guard and protect, and that sort of started at the very beginning when I was doing mobile stuff at this sort
Oh,
of the like 6 months in before we all had lockdown in Tasmania, which was
Mm.
a good. We actually got about 12 months down the pipeline before things started to set in, but we've gone from your humble beginnings as a normal mobile detailer, servicing your customers, washers, starting to get into your mini and full details, and then sort of pretty early on, I started to make some relationships with some dealers down here. And the thing about Hobart and dealers is that, and sort of cars in general, word of mouth is probably 70% of your business down in Tas. So if you
Mm.
do a bad job or you act a bit stupid to somebody, word travels and word travels really fast.
Yep.
So I pretty much came into it like, where this man, the quality of detailing down here is really bad. And at the time there was sort of your bread and butter sort of um detailers and shops, like it's very close to sort of how Bodyworks came about. And I saw this vision where, look, that we can do better. And at the time, like everyone that starts there, everyone's sort of not really understanding how to run a business completely. But I sort of went at it with the language to try and make sure that we're supplying like a quality product for our customers. And with the help of the dealership
Yeah.
that I fostered a relationship down here, we sort of got to a little studio shop, and
That's
it's
so
been
good.
sort of been growing since then from 2 employees, and now fast forward 4 years, and we're into our this is sort of my like fifth year in a premises, so it's sort of
Yep.
like
Yep.
you've made it. We've got
Yeah.
we've
Yep.
got 5.5 full timers in terms of
Wow.
labor hours, and a really good bunch of crew. I'm really proud to have.
That's
Like,
good,
I
man.
can't. Not many people can say that they have the best staff, but
No.
I've got the best staff, and I try and look after them the best I can, and that's sort
So
of why people come to us as well. So,
that's really, I like what you said there, and I want to tap into that. I want to
mm,
ask you
mm.
what makes them the best staff. But before I do, when you were mobile, what car did you drive around in? What was your mobile rig? That's more
so
important.
so so when I started detailing, pretty much the thing that started it off, and everyone has this like car that they sort of detailed. I had a Subaru B wagon GT Spec B with a 6-speed manual, and it was
Oh,
basically
so
like
they heard you coming.
it was lit. Well, not at the start. It
Oh,
essentially
yep.
got louder, but like just to paint a picture, everyone knows Target Tasmania, and I'm going to
Yes.
explain this one as if me and one of my senior employees, we basically did this job down in Cygnet, which is about 50k south of Hobart, and there's two Targa roads on the way back,
Yep.
and we had in the back of this wagon, if anyone knows how the seats fold down, they go chink, they hit the headrests on the back seats, and they go all
Yes.
the way flat. I have steamers, extractors, microfibers, a full range of pressure washer staff, like everything, probably like a foot off the roof the entire way. And we,
Wow.
we were going down these tiger roads like I had nothing in the car. And the whole car was actually set up for track driving. So we had camber, we had weight, we were leaning. We didn't break traction once, but Jacob nearly got hit in the head with an extractor. And I was like, you know what? I really think we need to stop doing these like details like super
I thought you were
far
going to
away.
say, I think we're going to need to get helmets.
Well, we probably should now. Like, not back then, it was like, it was rare, but these days, like the amount of weird, sketchy shit we do trying to get into some
Yeah.
weird places underneath cars, you're just like, oh yeah, that diff hurt, that exhaust really hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
That's
did you
why
have
the
any graphics on it? Oh, sorry, Dale.
that's why
no,
the Target Tasmanian is not on anymore.
yeah, mate, we
Those
are.
Subi owners.
I'll tell you what, if we had 5.5 people in that wagon today, we would have people like getting thrown out of the windows for sure.
Wow.
To answer your question about the wrapping, look, I
Yeah.
actually never did anything. I never
Yeah,
I never
cool.
did any signage until 2 or 3 years into the business. And when I did on a car, it was just a little, like a little loading zone thing.
Yeah, cool.
It took a while. Like it's sort of, and it's always a cost of sale, and the biggest thing with me is that I personally, I had no money. I started the business with
Mm.
two other jobs, and I put everything into the business. Paid to do people's cars at the start. like I literally paid for everything. And it was one of those things where you sort of get carried away chasing the quality, but the part of the thing with me is that I try and bring customers on a journey, and that's sort of what differentiated us at the start.
So how did you actually start the business though? Like what made it turn into a business?
So pretty much just doing cars for people's for your mates and that sort of thing. I was in a little Subaru group, and pretty much I just got passed around like, oh, it sounds really bad, but yeah. No, I mean, like you'd probably know what I'm talking about, Dale. Like in a
We all
small
start
town,
somewhere, mate. It's
yeah,
all good.
yeah. Well, you get used and abused, and then you get well. So like I was doing friends' cars, and then their
Great.
mums' cars, and
Yep, yep.
you're like, oh, this is great. Like I got like $250 for a full detail, and now it's like, I'm doing full details for like $750. And but it's super strange, like how we started. I sort of prided myself on a good social media presence, and I knew a fair bit about like branding and like in design as well as photography. So I guess I just tried to sort of bring that to the forefront, and it's sort of with word of mouth, like it's gone from there. And yeah.
Wow. Epic.
What's I normally don't ask this, Alex. Can
Mm.
you explain how old you are?
Yeah, so I look like I'm 19, like all the time. I'm actually 27. So when I
No,
Wow.
started, I think I was, wow, like I was definitely 22. I think I
yep,
was 22 and a half when I really started to
Yep.
like remember this moment. There's a
It's cool.
bridge, and I was listening to like, I think I was listening to like "Working Class Man" by Jimmy Barnes. Like I know we can't swear, but you
That'll get
probably
you going.
like you really need to introduce like some beeping in these podcasts. But like the actual, I remember coming over this bridge, and I was like, you know what? I see this vision for a shop, and I'm just going to give it a good go. And
Wow.
yeah, so it was. I was like, you have some like moments in detailing, and that's sort of one of them.
how did you were you self-taught, or how did you even learn how to polish, and or how did you get by?
Yep. So had a mentor. I pretty much met him when I reached out to Eamon from IGL, Agent Eamon Karmas. He,
Yep.
he is
Mm.
pretty awesome bloke. And he was running IGL. I pretty much reached out when I got to a level of understanding paint correction at a pretty introductory level. And but the thing I think in industry, we could probably elaborate this, but I really feel like there's so many different terms, and then people are generally uneducated about the
Yeah.
terms of what's happening, and it's not just like a cut and then a polish, or like a color correction. There's so much like horse poo like flying around in the industry, and the average Joe doesn't understand it.
Yep.
So I pretty much started to watch Larry from Ammo,
Mm.
and understanding terms like actual what's happening at a scientific level and a physics level, like, and from there, when you start to understand it, 1 plus 1, you start to go 1 plus 1 equals 2, and then you start to understand really soft paints to a level of like, I sort of know how to perfect soft paint with a woolly pad, like it's possible, but you need to have the right
Yeah,
gear.
yeah.
And yeah, just understanding that from Larry, and then Larry's mate also. I think is Buff Daddy. I used to watch him a fair bit,
Yep, yep.
um, and when I sort of started really getting into everything, I had a mentor who ran Dave's Detailing up in Launceston, and he started off proper, like uh, very similar, and I sort of aligned my business to him and how I should run it. Just like no horse shit sort of attitude.
Yep.
Get on, get in with it. It's going to be difficult. But tell the customer, this is my results. This is what I do. And they normally come away feeling good when they give you their car, and they come back and they're like, holy cow, like this is really good polishing, or this is really good extraction. So I just sort of absorbed as much as I could with Dave, and it was really sad because he actually came down and at one point, and he saw the old shop, he hasn't quite been over to the new premises yet. And he was like, mate, you've already surpassed me. And that was when I was pumping out a few RGL Kenzos, and like
Wow.
I was really into all the Snow Foam Australia products at the time. And yeah, it's sort of just like from the heart, a lot of passion, and
Yeah.
carried that into to sort of 2.5, 3 year mark. And yeah, it was good bouncing off employees,
Mm.
like really pushing the quality up, but also we were struggling to really, like, until the year 2, year 3 mark, we was really struggling to get some work done on time. And um,
Interesting.
we really were a bunch of researchers. We would find the best extractors with the best chemicals. We would test stuff, and we sort of like you research 70-80% of what you could know online, and then you do the last hard yards yourself in person. um, and yeah, like being small in Hobart, that really made a difference against the common detailer.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So, like Hobart, what population around 55,000, 60,000?
No, so Hobart and the greater surrounds, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 150 to 200. And then you've got the other spread pretty much in Launceston to Devonport, and a couple of dribble drabs in the middle and down the side. So Tassie's actually got a few people in it.
About 250,000, I think,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah, I think it's a bit more than that.
Okay,
Um,
cool. That's
but
good.
it might be double. But I can't say for sure. But
But
I know
that's pretty
that.
small. Like you look at like
Yeah.
there's a couple of mil in Brisbane,
Yeah, for sure. For
and so
sure.
what's that like? Like what are
Well,
the
look,
struggles with?
when
Mm,
I have like talked to other Titan coatings and like installers and that sort of thing, their struggles are like very strange. They talk about like getting waves of customers. Some people, like Cantor Glossworks, talks about being booked out for ages. Obviously, he's a one man army. Like I say army
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's like 2, 3 people morphed into one, and he's just
yeah.
like
He's
he's
Terminator. He's a
yeah,
beast.
he's
Yeah,
got
we know.
like a rotary in one hand going down, and then he's following it up with like a bloody black pad on like down the line. He's got
Yeah,
3 arms on a car and it's humming away.
literally.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so like, man, I'm like train of thought is just gone straight out the window.
So yeah, like
um,
what are the like challenges of running your business or
yeah,
a business in a place like Hobart? Like nothing
so
against Hobart, but just the
so
type of culture and
it
all that.
was just taking one customer at a time, and you can't just take someone's money. We're not the mainland. We don't have like a million different people. And then when you really get down to your
Mm,
demographics in detailing, you've got a lot of men. It's 80% of your demographic, at least down here. Then you break it down by age, and mine was 20 to 45 that actually gave a poop about how their car looked,
yep.
and they're actually receiving the information that you're putting out online. So the oldies, I actually don't do too many classic cars, and when I do, the word of mouth is so strong that they give me their car, they give me their keys, and they're like, whatever it is, I want to
Have
achieve
fun.
this. But the thing is, like, we don't get Ferraris and all this really
Yes. Yeah.
like common stuff. We don't get Lamborghinis. We don't get all this exotic stuff. And when we do, you get them once, you get them forever. But the point I'm trying to make is like, when you're running a business, you got to run it really selectively. I do more codings than most of the Titan guys in the big cities. Like, I'm
Mm,
talking 2 or 3 a week, plus PPF, plus tint, plus detailing, plus maintenance cleans across 5 people in different fields. But like, you really just need to make sure that you're
sorry.
focusing in on the needs of the customer. And that's the biggest thing, where Hobart's got 200,000 people, right? You've got 3% of people that really care about their car. Then in that 3%, which is, let's just say that's 6,000, in that 3%, you really need to make sure that if you get like a Lambo, for example, or an R8, I had a mentor say this to me before. If you don't look after those people, they're going to go talk to their other 1 or 2% buddies in the upper spending class.
Mm,
mm.
And you can't afford to F up any of those relationships,
mm.
because it's so dependent on word of mouth down here. I'm
Will
grateful.
people?
Mm,
Sorry, like I'm intrigued
mm,
if people aren't satisfied or don't think there's anyone capable in Hobart, will they go to the mainland? Will they
yeah.
find a way?
So I've heard of this through Bodyworks, people going to Melbourne, and I've also heard of people vice versa from Melbourne bringing down their cars to
Cool.
Hobart
Wow.
for selective body shops, but no, they no longer are able to fulfill that sort of category of customer anymore. There's a lot of people that I hear traveling to the mainland for PPF. They're not interested in coming down to Hobart and maybe getting someone. But in sort of like since I've started to learn, um, you don't really find that people are going to travel across Bass Strait. Like it's actually a fair bit of water.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's you can't just put a little
It's
sailboat
a
in
bit
the
more than the Rubicon.
yeah. I think it takes 12 hours of sailing to get
It's
from Melbourne to
it's a full
um
Far
day
out.
like
overnight trip.
I
Yeah.
think it's high 300 Ks. And just to give some perspective, the top of Tasmania, really where most of the people are, it stops at Devonport. There's a 1 hour drive to Launceston, which is southeast of Devonport, and then it's a 2 hour drive down to Hobart if you're lucky. Or if you're advantageous like me, you just go through the Targa Road Central Highlands and hope you don't get caught from the police. So, but yeah, yeah.
Wow.
What
That's
was?
really cool.
How'd you go with the PPF? What was your? I know
Mm.
you're into Suntech, and then
Yep.
now you're
So,
into bush wraps. Is that
yep.
right?
So I started with doing bulk install PPF. I flew in a couple of trainers
Great.
through my friend Boyd Hunter. Thanks, Boyd, if you're listening. I really appreciate you for getting us into that
He's
area.
yeah, I think he was associated with.
So Boyd's brother currently runs Expel and Geon in Australia,
Oh, cool.
and then yeah, it's a very very awesome like company in general. But yeah, so sorry to go back. Pretty much, I flew in some trainers. Boyd helped doing bulk install because I wanted to understand and this is like rinse and repeat, scrub all that you know. You're learning something new. It's not detailing anymore. You have to completely wipe clean the slate, and you're relearning. And whilst also running a business, it was quite hard. So we started with bulk install on PPF with Ultra Coatings and Suntech. And then I pretty much moved from there into getting certified with bush wraps, doing a couple of advanced kits. I think we did like maybe half a dozen. And then we sort of like ventured into Bush Wraps Pro when I flew back up pretty much last June, maybe. No, the year before. So it's gone real fast.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I sort of I do some sedans. I do a lot of like front end packs, like a lot. Um, and then a lot of Bush Wraps Pro installs as well. So
Yep. Do you get have you got a plotter yet?
no, I actually
No.
don't. I with Bush Wraps Pro, you can pretty much get all your templates down the sides. The
Yep.
problem is because most installers don't know the full capabilities of bulk installs. I sort of didn't really have the inability to not wrap something. Like if I need a plotter, I'll work with. If you want a really cool person to interview next, you need to talk to Shuey in Melbourne. He's absolutely insane. He's been PPFing for like 20 years, and a bunch of his boys, like they probably have combined experience of 50 years in their shop. Um, they let me use their staff member that plots for them in Suntech, and he's an absolute gun. Um, so we pretty much get Suntech little templates and that sort of thing that I'll proof and read. And then like, yep, this is cool. I did a Corvette, for instance. And I was like, right, we need to do this, and this. I want these edges enlarged. I want to make it easier on myself. And then yeah, it's really nice. It's a little bit difficult not having a plotter here, but
Mm.
it's not it's not the end of the world. And like I was sort of talking, like you don't need to sort of go down the path of spending 15 grand on a plotter. But it's also great for tinting as well. So
You have those limitations of, you booked in for a full front end and the customer drops off and they're like, oh, I'll get the doors done too.
Yeah,
and you're like, maybe in next week.
yeah, for sure, for
Yeah, but
sure.
you might not get that very often.
No, like in Tas, it's like I said, that upper 2-3% that normally resides. Like I had a like a 911 turbo come down, brand new one from Lonnie. They drove all the way down, they dropped it off, they picked it up 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks later. It was a really delayed job. Like they didn't want to pick it up for
Wow.
ages, like they couldn't. They're super busy. Um, and that job was like fairly interesting with like a front end down the sides to protect the hips of the Porsche.
Track pack and yeah,
Yeah. And then,
Targa pack.
yeah, pretty much. And those cars and Tas are just like sort of what you're focusing on. So,
Yeah, so what kind of cars, what's the majority of cars like, that you're doing in Tassie for
it,
PPF?
yeah, it depends on the climate, right? So, cue up all the weather jokes, but
Yeah.
4 seasons in one day is no joke down here,
Yeah,
especially with all the
right.
mountain ranges. Like Hobart is literally sitting underneath one of the tallest mountains in Australia. Cool.
Yep.
Um, so pretty much, sorry, I had all my phones going off for a second.
Yeah.
Um, pretty much, I would get a lot of 79 series and four-wheel drives from December to January, like crazy. And then sort of furthering from that, um, you sort of like jump into the spaces of in the middle of the year you go into sedans and a little bit more sporty cars. I mean, I've got a couple of cars in the shop right now that I'm doing just bonnets on and little pieces here and there. But I sort of just try and bring across the service to the customer for with whatever they sort of want.
Cool.
What was the shift from you're into Titan coatings now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What was I think you said were you with IGL for a bit?
Yep. So I think I did about 100 different coatings for IGL. Just from like IGL Poly, Quartz, Quartz Plus, and then obviously Kenzo being majority of that. I've actually kept all of my coatings like since day dot. So I've got containers and containers of these empty coating bottles upstairs. I'm going to make like some really cool like acrylic stuff out of them. But yeah, the shift from IGL to Titan was interesting. Not sure how much I should say. There was a bit of a wave of detailers that moved from IGL to Titan, but
Yeah.
it was predominantly Kent Glass tried Titan, and a lot of us that were really into our coatings were obsessed with like having like a certified coating, something that has a durability and a warranty system to it. And that's sort of like that's sort of sets you apart from dealership stuff. And but with the thing with Titan is that it was so durable, and how you put it down is like 5 times harder. It's not a joke. It's super hard in comparison to ceramic. Rubber membrane is really great. And I sort of just went into it with like open eyes. I was still running IGL at the time for about I want to say like 6 to 9 months. I just had more customers choosing Titan with how I positioned it in my offering lineup. It was a more, I wouldn't say a premium coating, but it served a different purpose. If I had a McLaren come in and he was just, I want a shiny ceramic coating that I can wash the car with, rinse it down, snow foam it, rinse it off with some dust, and just dry it. Cool. Kenzo's the stuff. If he was going to drive that car on back roads and get tar, Tassie has a lot of back roads with tar, and you want a little bit more self healing to it, then Titan was the one. It's a little bit more anti fouling, but people just sort of shifted to what they felt their needs were getting, and it was an interesting sort of change.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm. It's an interesting way of trying to sell a coating too. Like, not that if I've got Titan now, I've got to push this, but you still opted for IGL in a different way. Like, that's a good way of
Yeah,
explaining it. I agree.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, you guys were just briefly talking about before, like dealership coatings, and people were like, "Oh, why should I go with you when the warranty of your coating is only 5 years?" And you're like, "Well, my coating is durable for 5 years if you do minimal maintenance, but
Yep.
the dealership coating, if you treat it the same way, it's going to last 2 months. And that's sort of like that trying to understand um, that for customers. We've sort of tried a lot of effort to explain that. And it's made our lives a bit easier with the customer journey, with explaining to them what they're buying and what they're getting and setting the expectation early. Whereas I feel, and I don't know about you guys, but the way that coatings are sold in dealership, I think it's a lot different to how we would probably sell it to a customer.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
I like how you've really found what's working for your area too. It really does matter where you are, finding the right coding that, you know, suits the people in your area, because everyone's different. And what will work up here in far north Queensland, where I am, in a town of 7,000 people, probably won't work for you. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, so that's really cool to hear that it's working really well for you, mate. And Titan is a great brand. Ockett, who I believe he runs it, he's a great bloke too, and he's all about high quality stuff. So
Yeah,
it's in good hands.
I've had him on the pod. Yep.
Yeah.
He's
there's
wicked.
definitely like some really great bunch of guys in there. When Titan sort of they released a couple of batches, and they're always I don't know about the ratios. I think it was like they spend one third of their profits back on research and development. Um, they're always bringing in new stuff. The weaknesses of Titan is like they don't have their own maintenance gear, so you have to sort of lean on your own knowledge. But like you guys were saying before, and I know this is not going to be recorded, or it's recorded, but no one's going to hear it, is that like you don't have to have a certain brand to do well. And that's
Mm.
the biggest thing. Like I, when I was with IGL, I was told that you had to do this or you had to do that. You have to have a strong brand, and you know, you don't. You really need to be a strong business, and you really need
Yeah.
to know who your customers are and what they're willing to do. I've got people that are flogging off, coatings around here, and they're trying to say it's going to do this and it's going to do that. But at the end of the day, you got to identify what the customer needs. And for us, it was pretty simple. Titan coatings heal swells. Great. We use Kosh Chemi Nano Magic. It prevents water spots. Done. Dry your car off. Go. Like it's as simple as that. We were coating a Range Rover yesterday. Really, really soft black paint.
Oh, yep.
Now black, all right, and it's been
Oh, even
signed up
worse.
60,000 Ks, 2016.
Oh,
Two-stage paint correction. What do the guys do? Maybe 11 hours of cutting and refining. So
Wow.
metallic black, or was it like?
metallic
Oh yeah,
black. Yep, and a couple of bird poops that you can't fix, like
yeah,
they're
yeah.
too far gone. But basically, we did layer one and we wiped it off. The sides and the back of the car, perfect. Did all the plastics as we went. Airbrushed into some areas to get perfect coating coverage and darkness. And then we pretty much, I was looking at the bonnet and I'm like, well, because it's so damaged by the sun, it's easier to scratch. And what Ashton was doing when he was coating was that he put this heat lamp on for the third layer, right? And what did it do? It healed out layer one, it healed out layer two, layer three. I said, hey man, come over here, look at the lamp. And he's like, oh, all of the little haze, just the slight haze, perfect, all gone. And that's sort of like from an installing point, a lot of junior people would freak out.
Yeah.
But when you know your product and you know what you can do for your customers, I really feel like it makes a difference. And I try and like teach my staff, from bread and butter, but also it goes hand in hand with dealing with customers.
Wow.
No, it's good. Um, what are the what would you be your daily challenges day in
Um,
day out down there? How's
Geez, man, I don't know about you guys in Queensland. You get up and you're already like hydrated from all the bloody humidity. Down here, man, I get up at 4:30 and I'm like, I need a drink. I'm cold.
it's freezing?
It's a good to get moving, and it's like it's a little bit hard. Pretty much just get up in the morning. I have a huge dinner. Like right now, I'm eating like a porterhouse steak. Just like, yeah, like honestly, I don't know how to eat it without talking.
That's all right.
Um, so
Save a piece for us, all right?
oh, dude, you can have some mushrooms from the gravy, I suppose. But yeah, look, it's I sort of get. We start early. Three of us that start at 6:15, and
Yep.
we're I really haven't met a detailer yet that hasn't had some sort of caffeine.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're so fidgety as well. Like around 11 o'clock. Like look at everyone's hands. Like at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the day, and they're just like they just got the coffee lady would come around, look at their hands, and they're slightly shaking, like they're not sure what to do. So yeah.
Is the weather like? Have you got a temperature controlled like studio, or how does it work?
Yep. So I really want to get like a full. Sorry, that's my mushroom gravy coming out. I really want to try and get a full like wet like workshop where it's all controlled. And I wouldn't say dust proof, but dust contained in certain areas. In my booth right now, before I left the shop, um, we pretty much had it chilling at 18 degrees because outside temperature was quite hot. So the PPF edges were drying in half an hour. So it was like you could really work as you went. Um, but yeah, the booth that I have is temperature controlled. I've got a massive shop front out the front, like a 9 meter by 9 meter area, and that's all temperature controlled. And upstairs is where I'm going to have a little plotter one day. So you can put all your like materials in there, close the blinds down so they don't get hit by sun, and you can actually have a nice little space.
FYI, plotters are super awkward carrying upstairs. I've done that before, and oh my goodness.
That's why you pay someone else to do it, mate.
Yeah. Oh, they did the delivery guy didn't want a bar of it when we did it, but yeah, I know what you mean though. That's cool. That's good size, good space.
So our workshop is like, well, I might butcher this, 10 meters by 19 meters with a little 4.5 meter room that has a little bathroom set up. Yeah, our warehouse was built by like an award-winning builder off the side who's our landlord.
Mm.
So it's really wanky and decory, but it's like, what do you, man? Like, you're doing PPF late at night. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go, go to the shitter and like enjoy yourself, like just like enjoy like resting for like a brief second, and you've got the heated floor tiles on, like it,
Wow.
it goes too far, surely. Like what is this intended for? But
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing like is when you're working, aside from like having a cool space, and I mean like the Cultura boys really have the cream of the crop, but being comfortable when you're working is like huge. So no,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
It definitely helps morale. So about your team, you said you got five and a half. So if I can ask, are they casual or full time or contractors?
Yep.
How are you working it for you?
So I've got I'll start this. It's easier for me to think about this because I get confused sometimes how many I have.
Yeah,
So
sure.
pretty much I have a full-time tinter, and she can flex into PPF as a main role.
Yep.
Then I have a 2IC, and she's a senior detailer and can also flex into PPF with me. So I've trained them all up individually.
Great.
And then I've got two full-time senior detailers, and they know a lot. So I can do quality control across four people that know how to do coatings, and they're all pretty much bang on. And then I've got a couple of casuals that come in and do like expected work, like what they can achieve, and they enjoy doing ABC. And I'll try and make their workload a bit like different. They'll help us from PPF sometimes. They'll go from a decontamination and they'll rip into an interior. So yeah, it's sort of working out all right.
Great. I know she said she too. That's
Hmm.
cool. Some ladies getting it done for you.
Some ladies are getting it done. Yeah, they
Eye for
embarrass the
detail.
guys. Eyes for detail, and if you make a mistake, eyes of fury when they look at you. So
Well, Dale, your wife helps you every now and again, doesn't she? She kind of runs
Yep.
the joint there, doesn't she?
She pretty much runs the joint.
man, imagine having a wife and then two work wives that do the same treatment. Oh. Oh.
No, I
Yeah,
got
that's good. Like, how are you finding that? Like, what have you noticed having women doing tinting and PPF? Because it is, uh,
popular now.
n- well, yeah, but
Mm.
for a while it wasn't, right?
No, absolutely.
Well,
Very
I
much a
think
male-dominated area.
exactly like it's a male-dominated industry, and like so, like we're heavy into car culture in our shop. Like JDM, we've all got a car, like all got a special car from like rare preludes that are done up to really extensively modified Jimneys, Sylvias. I mean, my Subarus, which is a bit weird. And then I was talking to Dale. I was finishing up an E36 that I'd
Mm.
gratefully just been sort of basically fell on my lap from a customer. I'm really grateful for. Um, but yeah, we're a sort of a real diverse shop. But I don't feel like being male or female is. I don't look at it that way.
Yeah, cool.
There's different characteristics and care for sure that come from being a guy, but there's also a lot of the time the drawbacks of being a guy is that they don't bloody listen, and they're
Yeah.
stubborn, and hey man, don't kneel down on the concrete, you're gonna bunt your legs, and like they just get on with it. But girls are a little bit more like, I'm going to do this a different way. I can see like this working better. They're also how they care for customers is a little bit more like at the forefront of their mind. And with Izzy, she's my 2RC, and she's gone from being an admin to being like for sure one of the top 10 detailers in Tassie, like for sure. And
Wow.
then Sophie does unreal tinting, and she comes in, does like a spread of work, and sort of together they balance out the crew. So it's I
What
try and
tint are
keep
you
like
using? Sorry to cut you
tint
off.
tint wise. We're into Solar Armor,
Oh yeah,
courtesy of
yeah,
Boyd.
good.
So it's a really nice crisp film. It's harder to handle. It creases easy, but the quality is
Yeah, it's a bit
nice.
thinner, eh? Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's where Boyd he runs that film, doesn't he? Boyd?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we use a little bit of that too, but yeah, it was quite a little bit more thinner, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it look, I've used gone there, then I've gone to Suntech, then I've gone back to Solar Alarm, and then I've gone to there's a couple other brands, and I'm really really keen on to get on the XPEL bandwagon with their tint. Um, but it's a really good film. You know what you're dealing with, and then we've started to play with Autobahn Ceramic i3. Oh man, the quality is just phenomenal. Like even the color, how it presents on a car, how it handles in shrinking.
Mm.
Um, it's really nice. Like we're already dealing with knives here that like that film makes you feel like you love tinting it. And I know if you guys have tinted before, you're like, oh man, I'm just gonna go wash a car. Like this is bad.
Something I've
That's great.
thought about, and definitely bringing on Expel's got me thinking of tinting as an extra side on. Um, yeah, but I haven't done it yet.
PPF is enough headaches.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now.
Yeah, imagine just holding a bit of film out in front of you, like you're doing the thriller, and then all of a sudden you crease it. You've got to start again and cut it out, and it's just
Yeah.
like you can plot these things out,
Yeah.
and that's great. Like if you're an XPEL fanboy, you probably got your plotter, and
Mm.
and for a teaching aspect, oh, like that's a really good combination. But you still need to know how to use a knife properly with cars. Like that's I feel like that's super underrated, and a lot of people take a hit on PPFers and tinters that use knives on cars, but when you know what you're doing, you do a really good job.
Absolutely. Um, Probably one thing that is big in what you offer now is your car events down there. You want to
Yeah.
explain a bit about what you host as well?
So sporadically we'll do, 2, 3 week little JDM Imperious car meets. They work well because we involve the police
Yeah, great.
and we encourage a super strong like anti-hooting presence. And we've also got like a dozen cameras where the event is. So like you can't really get away from being on foot on camera. Those events
Has
go
anything
really
gone
well.
wrong? Has anything ever gone
Oh,
wrong in the
out
past,
of
or?
out of out of like 12 events, I've had two hoons. It's like two separate occasions where hoons have done something. One's minor, the other has been like at the back end of an event. But it's great being like in a small community because you can actually talk to the police officers and
Yeah.
actually like I'll just walk down onto the road straight away and it's great. And you can foster this like spirit with these events. Like they'll run from 4:30 and you'll stop it at 8:30 and you'll get your regulars staying until 10. Then you'll go on some like nice little scenic drives and it's just a great experience. Um, yeah, so I think you were asking about Cars for Cancer, specifically, right, Dale?
Yeah, that's the one that you host, yeah?
Yeah, so I pretty much, as I get into this porterhouse, so sorry guys, um, that event is how do I say that event started in the new shop in August, and it's about braving the cold and getting out and putting on your brave face really for a great cause. In Cars for Cancer, it just raises awareness for those people that are struggling with the disease and who it affects. And we sort of support not sort of, we do support the Cancer Council of Tasmania for those families doing it tough.
That's great.
Hmm.
It's really powerful when you can do something like that is for other people.
Yeah.
Do you get people who come along who have been affected or are going through something?
Yeah, on the first Cast for Cancer, it was very much um, an overwhelming experience where you would have people saying, "Hey, my mom's going through this, or my dad, or I've been through this, or I survived breast cancer, or all this sort of stuff." And for me, like it's really great. Like you have these great conversations of people, and you see them, and it really makes them come out of the shell. And you got to realize that we're doing this event in August. It's 2/3 into winter, and Tassie winters are wet. And
Right.
I'll like this last one, I pulled out like close to 600-700 people,
Wow.
a couple of hundred cars, and the whole street at one point was insane. Like
That's crazy.
it was really good.
Do you raise money?
Mm. So the first Cars for Cancer event, we raised like $10,300.
Wow,
Um,
that's
All right.
incredible.
yeah, and that was great until I sort of got greedy. And the year that just went past, we raised 32. Sorry, if I got that right, 30. It's a high $32,000 um, for Cancer Council Taz. And that was a really good way to sort of end the year on a high, knowing that you did a little bit of good out there.
So how are people contributing? How are you raising that money?
So pretty much on the day we'll have a barbecue where we'll pretty much have like all of the proceeds for that
It's
going
a lot of
back into
snags.
a lot of snags.
A lot of porterhouse steaks there.
There's a lot of mate, Jared, tell me about it. There's a lot of there's a lot of business donations. I'm really
Wow.
grateful to have some great people in my life that are happy to commit to a cause, and a lot of mentors and a lot of people that come out of the woodwork, mate, and sort of say, "Hey, I'm going to give to something that's important." And
Yeah, yeah.
that's one of the big things. This year we did a raffle to really charge up the temperature on the
Yeah,
whole
great.
event, and that went really well. And we had vendors from I think we had the barbecue team. We had a donut van that had really widespread stuff, and then we also had. Um, bear in mind, we had because we were in an industrial estate, we had like basically other businesses literally open for the event. So we had
Yeah.
Nabco across the street, and behind us we had a coffee place, and an electrical place that was open doing DJs, and then up the top end of the street, as you get a bit higher, there was a boat place that was hosting all of the V8s, and it was a really, really, really awesome event where like the whole street will get involved around a great cause.
That's
Crazy.
really gobsmacking, mate. You've done that's so good. That's so awesome what you've done.
Hmm.
You
You
even
ever
made the
seen that?
news.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah, we were in the news. That was interesting. I was like, we'll see how this rolls, but it was a really good event, and you know, the biggest thing like with us is that when I was at the old shop, like the reason why I do this is because at the old shop 6 months before, this is 6 months, right? My mum got diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. She nearly died on like getting to the hospital
Wow.
through blood loss. And like I had the week before, so it was a Thursday, and the week before was understanding mum's like outcome. The week after was like, I'm just going to do 5 coatings. And I did, and these were like 2, 3 stage paint corrections as well. And I had me, one Jacob, a full timer. I think I had Mitch and 2 casuals as well. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this to push, and I'm going to push like hell. So in the space of 6 months and really grinding myself out for what seemed like nothing, there was a new warehouse being built like literally next door. Did a car for Jack and the construction company next door. And I was like, what's going on with this building? He's like, oh, you want to rent it? And I was like, yeah, I do. Send me the paperwork. And literally like a couple of days later, I signed my name on this lease. 6 months later,
Wow.
6 months later, I went to 7 full-timers, including myself.
Far out.
And that was like, I don't encourage biting off more than what you can do, but I definitely did that there. And then Cars for Cancer sort of came around, and I was just using it as a way of expressing the hurt that you travel with, knowing that there's a lot of people out there that don't know people are hurting, and what cancer isn't just the disease; it affects so deeply your family members and your friends, and and last Cars for Cancer, it was getting really hard with how we were uh, traveling with my mum's prognosis. We've probably done a dozen trials now, and nothing's working. She's got a very rare mutation, and I guess I've just tried to focus more so on the little things this year, um, moving forwards, and I think that's sort of like the next Cast of Cancer. I'm really trying to hit that 50 grand money raise mark.
Yeah.
But more so to sort of do it with justice and having a lot more community involvement. We've got Shannon's so trying to get on board as a sponsor for this year, which was crazy, and
Awesome.
we're trying to line up a day to go through the Cancer Council headquarters and sort of show like people where their money has gone and the type of people it helps. But it's it's a really strange thing. I know there's a gentleman in you might have to help me out, Dale. I watch him all the time
In Perth.
in Perth. Yeah,
Johnny, yeah, Benzene's.
yeah,
He's been on before. He does
yeah,
a very similar one too. So shout out Johnny.
yeah. And that I like if you want a great podcast, you plug into that, because that basically made me cry. I was cooking dinner and I was like, crying from chopping up onions, and then Johnny was like making me cry even more. Like, but the reality is like with people's cars, you're taking them on a journey, and then you're also humming on a polisher for 2 or 3 hours in your own thoughts sometimes, and whether you're doing PPF or detailing or whatever you're doing, like you really need to be at peace with what's going on around you, and that's sort of where I've tried to centralize uh, the weight of Cars for Cancer at a certain point in the year to try and make the thinkings of everything else a little bit easier across everybody. So
Wow, great work, mate. I want to know more. We'll chat more about it later, but I want to know more about this year's one. But we'll talk about that later after the potty.
Yeah, you definitely got a fair bit on your plate, mate. Organising that and running a shop of
yeah,
that size, it's pretty impressive.
That's a lot.
it's easier when you have a couple of extra handy people around. So
Yeah.
Feels like you're just working with your mates as well. Like you're all into cars, in the probably similar ones.
Yeah,
So you're all
I mean, I was talking about this today. You still need to be super disciplined though. Like three people, 4 people on a car. You can get it done 4 times faster, but you can also bleed time 4 times faster.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's awesome, man. We'll get into our I've dropped down to 5-stage questions now, so just to mix it up a little bit. Pretty similar, but I'm not sure if you remember them, Alex. But yeah, can you remember your first ever detailing job?
yeah. Literally went to the guy's place out in a pretty shady suburb. My detailing car was very low. Had to go over these speed bumps about 70 degrees. Dump pipe just smashing over like the speed bumps. Did a little maintenance clean, headlight resto for Brett in his Golf. And he's been with us ever since.
That's so cool. Worth it.
Oh, nice.
He loved it.
I'm sure he can do the same work for himself now. Do you have a dream car or anything
Yep.
you already have?
I'll be honest. I sold that first car that I have was my dream car. I sold it and put all the money back in the business. And then I met
Story of our life, mate.
Oh man. So, but I bought the same model back off my best friend that was selling it, his, and and then later I blew that up too. So,
Do you have a favorite detailing tool or a product that you're a big fan of?
that's a really hard one. I guess if it's strictly talking detailing, oh, yeah, that's really hard. I feel
Well, what was the
like
first thing that came to your mind?
I feel like I'm trying to think of one thing that I use all the time, and the only thing that keeps coming back to me is all-purpose cleaner. Like,
Yes. Long live the
like,
APC.
yeah, mate. Like get it 1 to 3 on like underbodies and fenders. The results just they went melting results.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great product. You can dilute it down for interiors, and if you're doing
Which,
fleet stuff, you need stuff that's like going to cost like
yeah.
cents per car, not dollars.
Which one are you using?
G101.
I was about to say that, but
Yeah,
hey,
I've used some others, but it's sort of like an expected result with G101, and it's just a
yeah,
good product.
works good,
Enjoyable.
eh? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yep. Thanks to everyone on the podcast. I'm now an Auto Smart fan. I've been for a while now since everyone kept talking about them. I'm like,
They've got some real epic products, hey, that just will surprise you. You're just like, no way, this can't do this, right? But yep, some nuggets
Yeah,
on
well,
that truck.
yeah, there's for sure. Lee rocks up on his truck, and I'm like, shit, I'm gonna spend more freaking money today.
Yeah.
Like you buy things that you already have, and he's
Yep.
just smiling there. He's just like, Come
He
on.
knows. He
But
knows.
yeah, I don't know. It's good. You get a lot of value with Lee, and then you also get, like those old workshop calendars, if you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about. With,
yeah.
like like we're not allowed to put them up, but like, here you go, guys, take this one home. So you give that to that one employee. And he's just like, sweet, I'm set.
It's made his year. Have you got a tip for anyone starting out these days, like detailer or into business?
Yeah. Don't oversell yourself. Like, if you start sprouting that you're the most premium detailer, you're going to attract premium customers and you're going to lose them straight away. It's not about being passionate. Some people actually expect a premium result, and if you can't offer it, that's perfectly fine. Start from small beginnings, washers, car washers. Understand what a polisher can and can't do for you, and just start really small, really simple. And try and prioritize that. How do I get money out of just doing car washes? And
Yep.
then move through that customer journey. And like, it's not going to work for everybody, but there's a lot of new people that down here, they get inspired by they get inspired by us, these young fellas, and they think that they can do it too.
Yeah.
And I love seeing them have a crack. But when you have customers that are like, hey, Alex, went and tried this guy, and he was great. Like, he was mobile. Like, I needed mobile. We don't offer mobile detailing. And he's like, you know what? Like, I feel like it's better for me just to come here, wait half an hour for my car to be cleaned in the showroom on the couches, and then I start my day, I have a coffee, because they didn't really cut the cake. I felt like I was wasting money, and we might be a little bit dearer. Like, we charge like $55 for a little wash fortnightly, but we get it done to like perfect results every time, and people are like happy to spend that money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Wow. It's awesome.
Presentation
That's
too,
good, man.
really.
Yeah. Trust the process. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a bit too crazy. I mean, like, what are you going to buy like at the start of your detailing journey? You're not going to spend 20 grand in equipment straight up. Like, you're gonna go down and get a little cartridge in a little was it Beazle, like a little Beazle, turbo Beazle, and you're gonna suck all the crap out of people's carpets and do some fancy lines and stuff, and like, just be okay with that, and sort of enjoy the process. It's because it's only up from there, and if you can enjoy what you're doing, you'll turn into a great business with great customers, and hopefully you score big and you get some great staff members along the way too.
Absolutely. You're giving me flashbacks now from when I started. Um, Interests outside of detailing. What do
Give me nightmares.
you give?
He was like so stuck on that thought. I'm just watching Dale on his webcam, and he's like phasing out really hard.
Yeah, you got me there. Yeah, your interests outside of detailing, Alex.
Oh, I work too much, man. I love driving. I really do. Like I've blown all my cars up at the track, so I'm proud of that. I really am. But I love cars that much. And driving is a big part of that. But you also meet some of the most down to earth people at the racetrack, and Tassie has a lot of like motorsport culture. Baskerville is one of the oldest racetracks in Australia.
It's pretty big down there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the historics tracks like 10 to 15,000 people per couple a day, and it's awesome. But driving is sort of a big one. Takes the mind off things, and obviously when you've got some good roads around, it's great. But past couple of months when you're thinking about family and that sort of thing, man, I've just been enjoying having a simple meal with someone, as a hobby, like, and just chatting. I think
Yeah, cool.
that's been huge with what's been going on too.
And planning a wedding,
It's
is that
great.
right?
Oh man. Oh yep. Signing your life away, isn't it? Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
So, and your cars, and
Yep.
yeah. So no, so yeah, that's sort of like where we are right now. It's like 7 weeks into being engaged, and I'm accidentally let slip. Oh, I'll ask my girlfriend, and yeah, get in trouble. So, yeah, it should be an interesting year, this one.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward
That's great, man.
to sort of reporting back on Cars for Cancer for July and that sort of thing, and seeing where that goes.
Yeah, well, I think that's definitely one. We'll help you out with that one. How can anyone reach out to you, mate? Because you got a good story and you bit of experience of what you're doing.
Well, it's probably best not to rock up at the workshop and just walk in there and loiter me. But if you follow us on Tutela, Instagram or Facebook, just type into TUTELA Detailing, and just send a message. If you want to sort of follow my personal stuff, I can send you some links. You don't have to pay money for any subscriptions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, and then just same thing on Google. But pretty much where a customer can find us, you can find me, and I'm only like a message away. So,
do you have a Facebook page for Cars for Cancer or anything like that?
I actually don't, and it's something that I probably need to start for this year because it's getting too big. If we're going to go into the couple of thousands or we're going to go to an event, it's something that I need to get a bit more, I don't know, progressive with. So at the moment, we pretty much have event pages on Facebook, and we'll put all the results on Instagram and Facebook on big write-ups and posts and articles. So yeah, pretty much if you stay tuned, I'm going to be popping up a Cars of Cancer event in the next few weeks just to get the ball rolling, get the awareness out there, and it's going to be a huge one coming up.
When are you looking at doing that one?
Conflict because of you have better weather in October, but you also you move away from the brave the cold sort of vibe. So I'm still thinking 30th, 1st of August or the nearest Saturday to suit. Businesses are still open and staff, so it makes it easier to have supporters. But we're looking at sort of end of August at the moment, and sort of seeing how this and how sponsors can sort of get involved. And sometimes they always want to we prefer these dates or these dates and these dates. So we're just trying to be considerate this year and make it really special. A lot of hands make light work, so they say, and I guess these events are traditionally, on the last one, I had $5 million worth of cars in the shop. I had 16 cars in the shop, 15 cars in the shop, and I kid you not, you could not walk down the side of any car. And that next morning when I got to the shop at 5 a.m., I left at 1:30 in the morning. The smell of E85 was so strong in Mornington, it was insane. But it was buzzing your eyeballs, you had to keep your eyes open. It was insane, but it was such a good experience.
Woke you up anyway.
For sure.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, that's awesome, mate. Well, thanks for taking the time out. We finally got here, which was good.
There's a few handballs going on for a second.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's all good, man. So, no, amazing story, and we'll thanks heaps for coming on. Cheers, Joe.
Thanks heaps. Hey, it was great to hear from you, Alex. Great story, mate. Love what you're doing there, and really keen to hear how it goes this year for you and your family as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate all the years and what you guys do for the detailing community in Australia and in New Zealand. Those guys out to the side. You're not forgotten. You're just not talked about enough. There's a difference. So yeah, we're really grateful to sort of put a spotlight on Tasmania. There's a lot to offer: roads, businesses, people, and a bit of car culture to match.
So good.
Awesome. No, it'd be cool to get down there. I've never been there.
Yeah, you won't leave, mate. That's the problem. You'll come down and you'll be like, geez, this is a small town.
Yeah, it's like I never left home. Nah, awesome, mate. All right. Thanks, everyone, and we'll talk next one. Cheers.
See ya.
That was another episode of the Detailing Down Under podcast. Subscribe now for everything auto detailing in Australia.